streaming at your own convenience. Thank you for allowing me into your homes today. My name is Jenny, and this is a restore class. So if you're not familiar with restorative yoga, it's very slowed down, very gentle. We'll be getting into some movements in the neck, shoulders, and upper back. That's kind of what we'll be focusing on today. And we'll use props to support us in certain positions, but if the props don't feel right, or if you don't have access to something, then we can definitely make do. But some common use props that we might want to gather is a block of some sort or something similar to this shape. You could use books or something. We also have some rolled up yoga mats that can be utilized. Blankets are a nice prop as well. You can use them as a cushion. You can roll them up and use them in place of a bolster. If you don't have a bolster or a cushion, couch cushions, pillows, all that stuff can work. So just take a moment at home and gather some things that might be useful for your practice. And I'll try to give lots of options, so in case you don't have any or those props, then we can still get into that. So yeah, that's what we got on the docket for today. So we'll start just by getting nice and grounded. We're going to start in a seated, comfortable position. So whatever that looks like for you. I prefer to sit up on something, get a little lift in the booty, can help you kind of lengthen through the spine, especially if you have a tighter low back or tight hamstrings and you noticed it's more difficult to sit, or you can have to round back or lie back to get a nice, or to even sit. So take some time to settle into that. You can cross the legs, they could bend and feet on the ground, they could extend out. You could even sit on a chair if sitting on the ground isn't accessible to you today. And as you settle in, feel free to get any wiggles out, kind of take some time to let the body settle. And then once you start to settle into a little bit of stillness, you're welcome to close the eyes or just soften the gaze. And just take some time to tune in. Starting to just check in with the body. Noticing how you're feeling today, any aches or pains. I woke up with a lovely kink in my neck, which inspired our neck and shoulder work for today. So it's one thing I'm going to be aware of in my practice. So what can you be aware of? Any stiffness or soreness, any injuries? And as you continue to check in with the body, start to just notice your breath. And then notice as you observe the breath, if you naturally start to change it. There's a little tendency when we bring awareness to the breath to start to deepen the breath. Maybe starting to take that breath all the way down into the belly. The main aspect of yoga that makes our practice different than any other physical activity is presence. And there are lots of different ways that we can connect to that presence, and the breath is one of the most accessible ones. As we start to bring awareness to our breath, that brings us into our body, which helps bring us into our present moment experience. So I'll continue to bring you back to the breath today, but it's your choice how you want to explore it. You can continue with this simple observation, just noticing its natural flow. You could work with a bit of controlling of the breath by bringing in some deepening, working to create that deep diaphragmatic breaths, deep belly breaths. On the inhale, pressing the belly out, creating some space for the lungs to expand. And inhaling, drawing the belly in towards the spine, helping to press that air out. Another way that you could tune into the breath is through a pranayama practice called ujjayi breathing. This is very common in most yoga practices. And it simply brings an oceanic sound or just an audible quality to the breath. It's done by activating the muscles in the back of the throat. So like you're fogging up a window or a mirror, kind of that sound. And as you breathe in and out of the nose with this activation, it gives us that audible quality, which is a little cue for the mind to tune into. Can really help us to stay connected to the breath. And that activation also helps to kick in our parasympathetic nervous system, helping to bring some calm and ease into the mind and into the body. So continue to check in with the body, to focus on the breath, whether that's through simple observation, deep belly breathing, or ujjayi breathing. And then we do want to use the breath to bring movement into the body. So we're wanting to link the breath and the movements. In some poses, some movements, it will come naturally, it'll feel intuitive, and in others, you can kind of just create your own, just as long as it feels right in your body. And give yourself permission in this practice to really feel into this, and if something isn't feeling right, don't do it. I try to give plenty of options for you to explore, but if none of those options are working for you, then feel free to find one that does. So giving yourself the freedom to explore your own body and your own practice, and really being guided by what feels good. Once again, just reconnect to your sits bones, to your foundation, and find that seat. Sit up nice and tall, lengthen through the spine. Then just find a relaxing in the face, or release in the shoulders. Inhale to lengthen up through the spine, and then exhale, we'll just drop the right ear over towards the right shoulder. One deep round of breath here. On your next inhale, just come up towards center, and exhale, drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. One deep round of breath here. On the following inhale, bring the head back up and repeat. Exhale, drop the right ear to right shoulder. Inhale, back up through center. Exhale, left ear, left shoulder. And inhale, back up through center. So feel free to explore this little side to side movement through the head. If you enjoyed that pause on each side, feel free to take that, or you could continue with this little breath per movement. When you're ready, just simply make your way back up towards neutral, no rush. And then we'll take that same kind of movement just side to side. So inhaling to lengthen up. And then exhale, we'll just take the gaze over the right shoulder. Pause for one round of breath here. On your following inhale, come back towards center. And exhale, just gaze over the left shoulder. And inhale back through center. And we'll repeat here. Just looking side to side. Again, you can move one breath per movement, or you could pause and breathe into each side for however long feels right for you. Just bringing a little awareness a little bit of appreciation to the neck, to what it allows us to see through this everyday range of motion that we may take for granted until we don't have it. Awesome work, making your way back towards center, and we'll take this same movement just up and down. So inhaling to take the gaze up towards the sky, exhaling to come back towards center. And then we'll pause, inhale here, and exhale, drop the chin down towards the chest. There we go, I got the breathing a little backwards. So inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, gaze up, chin lifts. We're extending through the throat without dumping the head back. And back through center. And exhale, chin down towards the chest. And back through center. Just a few more rounds here. Again, just bringing some love to the neck, some appreciation. Noticing any stiffness, any soreness. You might have some crunching or crackling going on in there. And the neck and shoulders is a very typical place where we carry our tension, our emotions, our stress, our traumas. Typically neck and shoulders, or hips and low back. Awesome work. As you feel ready, just wrapping up that round and coming back towards neutral. And then we'll just draw little circles with the nose. So it doesn't matter which direction, we'll do both ways. And we'll slowly start to increase that circumference until we're spiraling through the neck, working through that full range of motion. Noticing how that is feeling. And just staying present to the creaks, the cracks, and encourage release of tension and tenderness. And slowly starting to circle your way back towards neutral. And then we'll just take that in the opposite direction. So start small, small little circles. Slowly spiraling out, noticing anything there is to notice in this direction. And you can always pause at any point to breathe deeper into a sensation. And if you have a really sticky area, you could also bring in a hand or two, give yourself a little massage. Awesome work. Gradually starting to make your way back towards neutral. And if you need, you can stretch out through the legs, maybe switch up the cross, maybe find a different seated position. Feel free to kind of adjust. We'll be in the seated position for a little bit longer. So if you need to wiggle around a little bit, feel free. And then as you feel ready, start to settle back into your seated position. And we'll bring in a little work for the shoulders as well. So we'll start just by inhaling, lift the shoulders up by the ears, hold at the top here, and then with a big sigh, just release it down. Excellent work. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift the shoulders up towards the ears. You can even tense up a little bit, holding that breath at the top, and then let it go. Excellent. We'll do one more like that. Inhale, shoulders up by the ears. Hold that breath at the top, but soften in the face. And then exhale. Let it all go. Beautiful work. Now we'll just do some shoulder rolls. So we'll bring the shoulders forward and then raise them up by the ears. Start to send them back and roll them down. And we'll take a few rounds like this. You may feel like one of those moments where you don't know what to do with your hands. Just kind of let them do their thing. Notice any crunching, any tension. So we bring a little more movement to the shoulders and neck. And when you're ready, just reversing the directions with the shoulders down. We'll send the shoulders back and then raise them up, forward, and down. These could be as big or as small circles as you need. You could exaggerate the opening in the chest, shoulder blades drawing together, and then the rounding out, separating of the shoulder blades if that feels good for you. Sometimes you can even use the scapulas to give a little massage there. Awesome work, making your way back towards neutral. And then we'll inhale, we'll send the arms out to the side and start to raise them up towards the sky. Just as high as they come, and if you can, let the hands meet. And it's okay if, the biceps don't have to be by the ears. It's okay if the hands are a little bit forward. We'll inhale to lengthen here, and exhale, we'll just arch it over towards the right, just not too far. And then inhale back up through center, and exhale, arch it to the left. And inhale back through center. We'll just take a little pendulum side to side here. That helps, you can interlace the hands, maybe pointer finger pointing up. If that doesn't feel good, the hands could just stay parallel. And if it doesn't feel good to have the arms raised like this, you could bring them into goalposts. Just again, stay in tune with your body. Awesome work. We'll make our way back towards neutral, and then we're gonna bend in the elbows and bring the fingertips to the shoulders. And then we'll take some circles through the elbows. So start by lowering the elbows down, and then they'll come forward. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Raise them up, send them up towards the sky just as high as they come, and then open up back and down. So I'm just taking these as big or as small as you'd like, finding what feels good in your body. And if having the fingers on the shoulders is a little tough on the wrists, the fingers can come down towards the chest, or you can just straighten through the fingers if having that bend in the wrist doesn't feel awesome. Excellent work. And when you're ready, just reverse the direction of those circles with the elbows down, sending them back, finding an opening in the chest, circling them up and forward. Again, maybe they touch in the center, maybe they don't. It's working through your range of motion in the shoulders, working a bit with the chest and upper back. And connecting the breath to the movements in any way that feels intuitive for you, and finding ways to stay connected to that breath. Awesome work. Start to wrap it up. We'll make our way back towards neutral, releasing the hands down towards the ground, and can you maybe roll out through the wrists? That can feel a little weird having the fingers like that. All right, then we'll release the hands down. Once again, inhale, send the arms out to the side, raise them up towards the sky. And then on an exhale, we're just gonna take a nice gentle twist over towards the right, keeping the hands extended at first, if that feels okay. Again, hands could just reach, they could interlace, pointer finger could point up. And while we're working to, draw the biceps by the ears, don't feel like they have to be. It's perfectly fine if they're in front of you. We'll take one more deep inhale. And on the exhale, we'll just release the hands down. Left hand can come to right thigh. The right hand can come behind you for support. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. And breathe into the belly. And if it would feel good in the neck, start to take the gaze over the right shoulder. Opening up a little more through the left side of the neck. And if a little gentle nodding of the head would feel good here, a little Gentle exploration through the neck. But stay in tune with the twist. We don't need to go very far into twists to maintain a healthy range of motion for the spine. And the breath can be a good indicator, especially if you're working with those deep belly breaths. If you ever feel like you have to hold the breath or if it feels stagnant or forced, that's a good sign in any pose, not just twists. But it's a good sign that you've gone a little too deep and to maybe back off. We always want to find that combination of effort and ease. And the ease should come through in the breath. Awesome work. We'll stay here with the twist, but if it would feel good, start to take the gaze towards neutral and then over towards the left shoulder. So just switching up that stretch in the neck. And again, if a little bit of rocking of the head or a little exploration through the neck would feel good here, feel free. Continue to breathe. And as you feel ready, we'll start to bring the head back towards neutral so that the head is stacked over the heart. Inhale to lengthen up, and on the exhale, we'll just gently untwist. Awesome work. And then take any movements here that would feel good, maybe some circles through the torso or anything that we've already done if you want to revisit that. If you need to stretch out through the legs again, if you need to reposition your seat, feel free. We'll take that twist on the other side and then we'll switch it up. We won't stay seated the whole time. All right, so as you feel ready, reconnecting to your seat, finding that length in the spine. And then when you're ready, inhale, send the arms out to the side, reach them up towards the sky. Hands will come parallel, they could meet, they could interlace, finger could point up. We'll inhale to lengthen and exhale to twist over towards the left or whichever side you didn't do. So we'll keep the arms extended for these first few rounds if that feels okay in your body. Finding some length in the side body, a little strengthening in the shoulders. And as we draw the biceps by the ears, again, don't feel like they have to be there, but that drawing back, that will help to create a little more space there and maybe eventually a little more flexibility, but just stay with it. Awesome work. We'll take one more deep inhale to lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, we'll keep the twist, we'll just release the arms down. So that right hand could come rest on the left thigh. Left hand could come back behind you for some support. We're drawing the left shoulder back as we open up across the chest. And if it would feel good, you could start to take the gaze over the left shoulder, opening up through the right side of the neck. And if a little gentle movement in the head and neck would feel good here, a little exploration, feel free to take that. Continue to breathe, to connect, to feel into your body. And when something comes up, our nervous system always gives us a little alarm right before we're about to get hurt. So if we are taking it too deep, our body will tell us, whoa, you're about to go too far. So we want to stay in tune with those messages from the body. And we want to respond accordingly. Don't let the ego take over and think that you could or that you should just muscle through it. No pain, no gain type of attitude. That's not going to serve you well in yoga, so just go ahead and keep on tuning in and adjust as needed. Excellent work. If you are working with a little more neck exploration, you can slowly start to bring the head towards neutral, and then take the gaze over the right shoulder. Maybe a little movement through the head would feel good here. can remove those, uncross through the legs, and we'll take a few rounds of seated cat-cow. So we'll take the knees bent, feet a little wider than hip distance, grabbing onto the knees. Inhale to draw the shoulders back, chest lifts, gaze could lifts, working full articulation through the spine. And exhale, rounding out, tuck the chin down towards the chest, shoulder blades separate as you round in the upper back. A few more rounds like this at your own pace, your own depth. Start to feel ready. We'll meet up in hands and knees. So coming into a tabletop position. However you'd like to get there, and take your time to set this up. The knees could be underneath the hips, but if it feels better to have them a little further back or maybe a little wider, feel free. Same with the wrists. They could be underneath the shoulders, but that doesn't feel awesome for everyone. So maybe you want to walk them forward, maybe they want to come out wider, maybe you play with the angle of the fingers. So take some time to just find a really solid tabletop here, and then we'll continue to work through that spine articulation, that spinal flexion with some cat-cow. So just like we did seated, but with a little more range of motion here. Inhale, dropping the belly, pelvis tilts up, gaze lifts, heart shines forward, round or smiling through the spine. And then exhale, press the ground away as you round out, tucking through the chin, tucking through the tail, the back of the heart lifts up between the shoulder blades. Awesome. We're going to take a few more rounds here through this exploration through the spine. And taking it to whatever depth feels right for you. You can continue with one breath per movement, or just breathing into each position for as long as feels right for you. I'll take one more round, just really noticing how this feels in the back, neck, and the shoulders. And we'll come back to neutral. We're going to repeat the same movement, but we're going to lower down onto the forearms. That's not too big of a shift here, but notice as we start to move through cat-cow how it affects your range of motion. There's no right or wrong answer here, we're just simply observing. So pressing down into the forearms, lengthening through the spine, and now we'll find that cat-cow. So inhaling to drop the belly, you may notice it doesn't drop quite as far, and as the gaze lifts, you might not want to lift it as high as to avoid any creaking in the neck. And then exhaling to round it out, tucking the chin in, tucking through the tail. Just notice how switching up the position affects the pose. This is also a way to modify, or I don't like the term modify because that implies that there is one single right way to do a pose. But this is an option that you can take in regular cat-cow if you have soreness in the wrists or in the forearms. This might also take a little weight off of the shoulders. Just another shape of the body to add to your toolbox. Awesome work. When you're ready, we'll come back through neutral, and we're going to work through one more variation of this spinal flexion exploration. So we're going to take it to a child's pose. So if it feels good for you, sending the hips all the way back. If having the knees that bent is a little intense, you could bring in a cushion or a rolled up blanket behind the knees. You can also just leave the hips raised if that feels better. And then we're going to extend the arms out. We're going to lift or tent the hands hands are coming up onto the fingertips, which just gives us a little extra space between us and the ground. And then here we'll bring in that cat-cow movement, that spinal flexion. You may want to take the knees a little wider. That could give you a little more space there as well. And then we'll inhale, drop the belly, drop the chest, gaze could lift, stay aware of the neck. And then exhale, rounding it out, tuck through the chin. There'll be a little tuck through the tail, but with the hips all the way back, that limits our range of motion. So it is natural that we won't be able to have as much range of motion as we would up in tabletop. And we just want to explore that. Remembering if any of these options don't work for you, you can go back and revisit anything that we've been to, or you could create options of your own. If the knees are getting sensitive, or if they are already sensitive, you're welcome to kneel on a blanket. You could double up on the mat. So we've got a few more poses here on our knees. Awesome work. So as you feel ready, we'll start to come back up to our tabletop. And take any movements here before we move on that would feel good. If the knees need to be stretched, you could shake the legs back. If it's in your practice and doesn't feel counterintuitive to a restore practice, you could even lift the hips into a downward dog for a moment. Or any other movements that would feel good here. And then when you are ready, we're going to start to set up thread the needle. So we're taking it from hands and knees. And we're just going to start by extending the right arm out to the side. Maybe it reaches up towards the sky, maybe not. Just a little twist here. And then exhale, we're going to thread the arm underneath. We're not going to take the full pose yet. So just thread that arm through. And then we'll come back. Inhale to bring the right arm out towards the right. And maybe up towards the sky, maybe not. And exhale, start to thread the arm through as you bring that right arm across the body. All right, this time we'll take it all the way down. So one more inhale, reaching the arm back out to the right, maybe up towards the sky. Exhale as you bring in the twist, that right arm comes through, and then this round we'll lower the head, the shoulder, the ear down towards the ground. That right hand could stay, left hand could stay where it is. You could press into that hand and maybe roll a little more onto the right shoulder, finding a little more opening through that shoulder blade. A few other options to explore. With that left hand, you could reach it overhead like we had in child's pose. That kind of brings the twist a little more into the upper back, maybe working the scapula a little more. You're also welcome to reach that left arm up towards the sky and then rest it on the low back, which brings a little more opening through the chest and a little deeper twist into the mid-back. So no right or wrong answer here, just lots of options for you to explore. And if it doesn't feel good to be on the knees like this, you could come to a seat or sit in a chair or even come standing and then just bring the right arm across the body, and you can use the left arm to kind of create that same kind of leverage. It takes away the twist, which you could add if you wanted, but we're really just looking to get that stretch across the shoulder and that opening in the shoulder blade. Staying connected to the breath. Take about 3 more rounds of breath here. And then whenever you feel ready to come out, if that left hand has traveled away, we're going to want to bend the elbow and plant the hand kind of in front of the face, just to give us a nice little support there to press into. We want to lengthen through the spine on the inhale, and then exhale, slowly start to untwist, bringing that right arm back across the body. And for a counter stretch, it could reach out towards the right or up towards the sky. And when it feels good, releasing that hand down, coming back to hands and knees, and then feel free to explore however you like, any movements here between sides. If you need to get off the knees again for a moment or revisit anything that we've been to, you could take a child's pose, a downward dog. And then as you feel ready, we'll start to set that twist up on the other side. So from our hands and knees, we'll take a few rounds first before settling into our thread the needle. So we'll inhale, sending the left arm out to the side. Maybe it raises up towards the sky. And then exhale, we'll just start to send the arm through. We're leaving the upper body raised these first few rounds. Just bringing in a little twist here. Inhale to untwist. Left arm reaches out or up. Exhale, twist it under. Thread that arm through, just reach it through though. And this last round, we'll take the full expression. So inhale as you untwist, left arm reaches out or up. And exhale, thread that needle. Let the arm, the shoulder, the head fall. The hips stay raised, and we want the hips to be fairly squared. So notice if they shift over towards the right. Just kind of draw them back a little bit. Then again, you have all those options to explore with the hands. That right hand could stay where it is as you press in, maybe rolling a little more onto the left shoulder, finding a little more opening there. That left hand could reach overhead like in child's pose, taking the twist a little higher in the spine. Or that arm could reach up towards the sky, maybe resting on the low back to take the twist a little lower into the spine. And again, you have that option. If being in this twisted pose on the knees doesn't feel awesome, you could come to some sort of seated or even standing position. Bring that left arm across the body. Use that right hand to facilitate that stretch through the shoulders. Find your breath. Stay connected to the body. About 3 or so more rounds of breath here. And as you feel ready to come out, no rush. If that right hand has traveled away, we want to plant it pretty close to the face with that elbow bent so we can press into it. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, untwist. And you could take that counter stretch, sending the left arm out to the side or up towards the sky. And when it feels good, releasing that left hand down. And then again, feel free to take any movements, kind of resetting, anything that would feel awesome here. And then whenever you're ready, no rush. We just stretched the back of the shoulder and the shoulder blade. Now we're going to stretch the little opening in the chest with shoulder pigeon. So from our tabletop, we're going to come all the way down onto the belly. So maybe walking the knees out, walking the hands forward, however you want to make your way down. And I'll give you options for if you don't want to lie on the belly. And then we're going to start by extending our right arm out into a T. So So directly out to the side. We're going to plant the left hand underneath the left shoulder and take the gaze over towards the left. Then we're going to press into the left hand as we start to roll onto the right side of the body. So we're getting a big opening in the chest here. So I'll show you both directions. There we go. Now we want to be able to release through the head and neck. So if it doesn't feel good to let the head touch the ground, you could bring in a blanket, a cushion. You could even just double up on the mat just to give the neck a little support. And you can kind of explore this pose with the positioning of the legs. They could be straight out, legs stacked, hips stacked. If it feels good, a gentle option would be having the knees stacked, drawing the knees in towards the chest. You could also play with the spine a little bit, finding a little bit of a twist by sending that, let's see, it'd be your left leg a little further back, kind of bringing in a little twist, or even bending that left knee and planting the foot behind the right. So that's going to probably bring in the most intensity into this stretch. So know that all these options, they're not ranked good, better, best, beginning, intermediate, advanced, all just different options for you to explore to cater your practice to be whatever you need it to be. Another option you could explore is if it feels okay to put a little more weight on the right shoulder and that chest opening, you could raise the left hand and start to reach it back towards the right. Definitely won't touch. Or you could release the hand, that left hand to the low back. And if it doesn't feel awesome to be doing this on the belly, and you could come to some sort of seat. This would be for doing both of them, reaching the hands back and interlacing or grabbing onto a strap and then raising the arms up. Or if you have access to a wall, you can kind of recreate this on the floor without so much, or recreate what it would be on the floor without as much gravity pressing down. So finding the wall, extending that right arm out, and then starting to find that opening. So again, lots of options to explore. Find what feels good in your body. Take just a few more rounds of breath on this side. And then whenever you feel ready, if that left hand has traveled away, we want to bring it back in front of the face for some support. And if the legs have traveled, we want to bring them back so they're stacked. And then slowly start to roll our way back onto the belly. And then feel free to, once again, take any movements between sides. Might feel good to maybe come up into a little cobra or a sphinx pose, bringing the forearms or hands to the ground as you lift up through the head, neck, and shoulders. Or if you want to come back up through tabletop, maybe take some cat-cow or a child's pose. And then whenever you're ready, we'll take it to the other side. So extending the left arm out into a T. Turning the gaze to the right as the right hand plants on the ground, pressing into the right hand. So we start to roll onto the left side of the body, just as far as feels okay, opening up through that shoulder, opening up through the chest, and then finding whatever position for the legs works best for you on this side. May not be the same exact shape as the other. And of course you have those other options if lying down doesn't feel good, especially if you've had shoulder injuries or shoulder surgeries. You know, putting that much pressure might not be a good idea with basically most of the body weight on it. So again, you can come up into a seat, interlace the hands or holding onto a strap, and then lifting the hands up or finding that wall, extending the left arm, and then kind of recreating this pose against the wall. A couple more rounds here. And as you feel ready, slowly make our way out, planting that right hand if it's traveled away, restacking the legs if they were exploring other options. Slowly starting to make your way back onto the belly. And again, finding any movements any movements that would feel good here before we get into our next pose. When you're ready, we're gonna meet up on the back. So you're welcome to just flip-flop here and turn onto the back. But if you like to have your head at the top of the mat, then feel free to adjust. And we'll meet up on the back. We'll bend the knees, planting the feet on the ground. And we're gonna reach the arms up towards the sky. And then we're gonna cross the right arm in front of the left and grab opposite elbows. So right arm is in front. Feet are about hip distance, maybe a little wider. And we're gonna take some windshield wipers with the knees and the elbows, but in opposite directions. So we'll start by dropping the knees over towards the right and the elbows over towards the left. So we're creating a little twisting in the spine, as well as a stretch in the hip, left hip, and right shoulder. And then inhale, we'll bring everything back up towards center. And exhale to the other side. Knees to the left, elbows to the right. So you're gonna stretch through that right hip, right low back, and left shoulder. Then we'll take an inhale to come back up through center. And just explore this for a few rounds, this windshield wiper back and forth. AC kicked back on. Sorry if it's a little loud. Just take this movement side to side. And then you can pause at any point that feels good here, but we'll eventually settle into a twist. So after you've had some exploration through your windshield wipers, we'll pause the next time the knees are over towards the right and the elbows are over towards the left, so that the right arm is coming across the chest. You could release the elbows here if holding on to that feels weird or doesn't feel right. And you can let that right arm just kind of hover across the body, or you could use that left hand to add a little bit of weight there. So it's kind of similar to the shape
of the body that we were making in our thread the needle. And then with the knees in this twist, if it would feel good, maybe pointing that left knee towards the bottom right corner of your mat. So it just gives you a little more extension, and it might give you a little more sensation in the hip, the booty, the hip flexor, something in that general area. Start to switch it out. So we'll bring the elbows and the knees back up towards neutral. We'll re-extend through the arms. Maybe shake them out if that would feel good. If you want to take any movements between sides, feel free. And then whenever you're ready to set this up with the arms extended, this time we'll cross the left arm in front as we grab opposite elbows. And we'll take those windshield wipers in opposite directions. So we drop the knees towards the left, elbows shift over towards the right. Inhaling back up through center. Exhaling, knees to the right, elbows to the left. And take a few rounds to explore this windshield wiper action side to side for however long feels good for you. And then when you're ready to settle into your twist, pausing when the knees are over towards the left, the arms are over towards the right. We've got the left shoulder coming, or left arm coming across the body. And you could keep a hold of opposite elbows, but if that doesn't feel good, you could release. Oh, really kicked in turbo. And then if it would feel good in the lower body, pressing that right knee down towards the left front corner. So it's a very subtle movement. It's just kind of a little more activation. Continue to breathe into the belly. You start to feel complete on this side, gradually starting to lift everything back towards center, crossing through the arms. Take any movements, any stretches that would feel good here. Maybe a big good morning stretch, lengthening through the legs, through the arms. Anything else would feel good here. Take a few more moments to explore any final movements that would feel good in the body. And when you're ready, we'll start to settle into our Shavasana, or final relaxation pose. But take your time. Anything else that would feel good in the body, feel free to explore that. Anything that'll help round out your practice. And then we'll eventually settle into our final relaxation, our final Shavasana. If you want to take a traditional corpse pose, stay on the back, legs extended, toes turned out, palms turned up. And this may not feel awesome with injuries, or just today may not feel awesome. Other ways that you could modify this or explore this, it would be to plant the feet, knees bent, letting the knees drop in on themselves. You could also slide a bolster, rolled up blanket, some sort of cushion underneath the knees. If it feels a little exposed to have, the torso open like this, you're welcome to bring both hands to the belly, one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, or even give yourself a little hug, crossing the arms. And if lying on the back isn't right for you today, feel free to lie on your side, lie on your belly, or come up to a seated meditation. Just as any pose, our Shavasana has options to explore and should feel good in your body. You should be able to find a position where you can fully release, fully surrender. It's this final pose where all of the amazing work that we've just done starts to integrate. And this is where the true challenge of yoga comes, is from this pose. After we've moved through our physical practice with intention, with determination, with a sense of control, we get into this final pose and we are asked to surrender completely. To surrender any sense of control, to surrender the breath, surrender the body, surrender the mind. And that can be one of the most challenging things as humans, is that act of surrendering. We want to feel in control. We create false sense of control in a lot of situations. So when we allow ourselves to surrender to the process, to surrender to all of the great work that we have done, all the intention, all the hard work, when we finally let that go and let it integrate, let it work its magic, that's the true benefit. So allow yourself this time to completely surrender. Surrender mind, body, breath, and just be. those practicing at home, if you have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please take as much time as you can carve out for yourself. As you feel ready, gently start to bring some movement back into the body. Gradually starting to wake the body up, and if you're on the ground, gently rolling onto one side of the body, pausing for a moment in a nurturing pose. And eventually, no rush, pressing your way back up to a comfortable seat. And one last time, I'll invite you to release the hands alongside the body. We'll take an inhale, sending the arms out to the side, start to raise them up. Let the hands meet in prayer, and on an exhale, draw prayer hands down to heart center. Stay here or take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. And just allow yourself a moment of gratitude for yourself, for carving out this time, for giving yourself the gift of the self-love, this time to move and breathe and connect. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste.